Yo guys, what's up, and welcome back to another YouTube video. If you guys didn't already hear, they already started showing early screenings of the FNAF movie. And I'm one of the lucky ones who actually got to go there. Like, I got the one with, like, all the FNAF, FNAF YouTubers. Because you guys already know, I'm an epic famous FNAF YouTuber. I made like 2 videos on FNAF. That means I'm literally so famous. But like, yeah, it was pretty epic going there and seeing all the other freaking FNAF YouTubers. I even got a picture. Pretty epic. But you guys want to know what's not pretty epic? The fact that it was in London. Bro, guys, this is a warning. Never go to London. If any of my viewers are in London right now, screw you. You are not appreciated here. Go. But anyways, London is basically like the US, but instead of people trying to shoot you, they're trying to stab you. Also, like, I don't even know what they're talking. Like, they're speaking a whole entire different language. Like, speak English. Freaking people don't even know how to speak English in London. It's pretty depressing. But yeah, I should get on to my FNAF review. Look out for my London review coming out probably like, next week. Maybe. If this video gets 10 likes, I'm gonna get a London review of London. But anyways, I should probably start talking about FNAF. Okay, the FNAF movie was pretty epic, I must say. But to talk about it, I feel like I need to do spoilers. So if you guys don't want to hear any spoilers, skip to this timestamp. Yeah. Wow, you guys really don't like spoilers that you really want to skip to that. Okay, well, the people who stayed, I'm gonna do a quick summary of the FNAF movie. Okay, so, pretty epic. Starts off with a shot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the night guard going inside. And you guys actually won't believe this, but the night guard is actually Markiplier. Now, I know it's pretty hard to, there was news about Markiplier not being in this movie, but it's actually false because Markiplier is actually the first night guard. Anyways, while he's doing the night guard stuff, the FNAF animatronics are like, OMG, it's Markiplier. And they're like, OMG, we gotta freaking get Markiplier. And Markiplier's like, oh my gosh, I love security cameras. But he looks at them, and one of them freaking moves, but then the camera goes black. Like, okay, so basically, the FNAF animatronics are trying to meet Markiplier, because they're basically a huge fan. Like, who isn't a freaking fan of Markiplier? They're like, let me in right now. But Markiplier's like, ah! But then they get Foxy, because Foxy's also a fan of Markiplier. And they're like, let me in, and Markiplier's like, no! Please! Stop! But then Markiplier gets an idea. He cosplays as one of the animatronics. And then when Foxy comes through the vents, Foxy gets a little bit frisky with Markiplier. I mean, he doesn't know it's Markiplier, but there's this weird, long, drawn-out makeout scene with Markiplier in his cosplay suit and Foxy. But before, like, any of the real juicy stuff happens, sees, like, the camera audio is bad, but then Markiplier beats up Foxy, and he's like, OMG, I'm actually the real Markiplier, but then he gets jump scared. And then the puppet is there, he's like, OMG, I'm the puppet, and you're about to run out of power, and he's about to die, and he beats up the puppet, but the puppet's like, no. And then there's like, no more power, and he's lying in the dark, and Freddy Fazbear's go, hor, 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 and it's pretty epic. But Markiplier's like, this But all of the animatronics are basically trying to get some of that Markiplier action. They really want an autograph, man. But then this guy comes out of nowhere, and all of the animatronics freaking disappear, and he's wearing purple. I think that's Matthew Lillard. Yeah, he's like, gee, I'm actually purple guy, but he's actually phone guy. And then they make out too. There's a lot of make out scenes in this movie. But then it shows Markiplier's house, and he has to get ready for the second night. So he decides to pack stuff that you can't really see, but he's ready. And you already know this movie was made in America because he pulled out a freaking gun. He pulled out a freaking gun to freaking murder the animatronics with. Like, I thought this was a horror movie, not freaking, it's pretty interesting though. But he's like, no FNAF animatronic can beat me up. And he holds a gun, and he gets ready to freaking shoot, like he goes hunting for his FNAF animatronics. He wants to freaking kill them. He's like, come on, guys. Come here. Freaking, I'm gonna freaking shoot you. And it's actually pretty scary, but then he shoots, like, the purple guy, and he gets freaking arrested. Like, he freaking murders the purple guy, and it's pretty sad, but then Markiplier freaking escapes, and now, just like in real life, he's a felon. Yeah, but he dyes his hair red because he looks way more like his YouTuber self. Pretty epic, pretty epic. But then it cuts to this other guy, who's actually, Mike, and he gets a freaking phone call, and they're like, gee, Mike, we freaking need you, because he, like, has rent, and it's pretty lame, but he's like, we're Freddy Fazbear, and we need you right now, like, and then he goes in the night, and he is a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. He's like, I love Five Nights at Freddy's, but the animatronics do get a bit quirky at night, and they find a box. The animatronics freaking find a box? Like, they wonder what's in the box, and Mike's like, what's in the box? And he touches the cupcake, who's actually pretty creepy. But then they go in here, and they're all like, we're Freddy Fazbear and the gang. But then the box has a hole in it. Like, I don't even know why the box has a hole in it. That don't even make no sense. But they're like, gee, the box has a hole in it, and it's epic. But then he's like, gee, where'd all the animatronics at? For real, for real. But then Springtrap comes out of nowhere and freaking murders Freddy Fazbear. And Chica's in the present because Chica's like, gee, there's a freaking murderer on the loose. And then Mike gets attacked by freaking Springtrap. But then Freddy Fazbear is actually a superhero, so he beats up. But then Springtrap beats him up. And, gee, it's a pretty graphic thing where Mike is freaking getting eaten by Springtrap. And the puppet can't even help. Like, it's sad. A lot of the theaters cried at the moment. But you know what's more sad? The puppet goes in to try to rescue him. He keeps Springtrap away, but then puppet dies. Daco cried at that scene. A lot of FNAF YouTubers cried at that scene. That was tragic. But Mike's like, gee, can't even believe that happened. And Foxy's like, I'm Foxy. But the vent is like kicked down. And they have like a Freddy Faz meeting while Bonnie's tied up. But he's like, I'm Mike. And then the purple guy comes in. He's like, what the freak happened here? And then he sees the vent, and he sees the sussy imposter actually vented. But then Markiplier has freaking nightmares of the FNAF animatronics, even though the FNAF animatronics should have nightmares of him, since he pulled out a freaking gun. But then Freddy and the gang listen to this banger, and Purple Guy's like, he listens to this banger. And then Mike's like, hey, Purple Guy, you listening to the banger? And Purple Guy's actually cleaning up. It's epic, but then, like, OMG, a bunch of stuff happened. like he's freaking cleaning the floor and they have a phone call and it's pretty boring. Like, it's pretty boring. Yeah. But then Purple Guy's like, OMG, and, yeah. And then Purple Guy meets Springtrap, and he's like, OMG, this is like Springtrap. But he thinks nothing of it because he's stupid. He has a case of the stoopies. And he sits down and he listens to a jam. And he gets a little funky. But then, what would you do if Mike pulled up to your house? I don't know what you did, but Markiplier. But they freaking got Bloom Boy out to freaking go investigate Markiplier's house, breaking in. And Markiplier has freaking nightmares and he gets jump scared. And he thinks he's having a freaking nightmare because he was having the nightmare of the nightmares. But then Bloom Boy goes to beat up Springtrap, but Markiplier's like, ah! Why is the animatronics trying to beat me up? Like, it's super scary, and Bloom Boy runs away, and Springtrap chases after him, but Markiplier is, like, all the FNAF animatronics are trying to get Markiplier's autograph at this point, and also, Bloom Boy, and Springtrap have a little chase. It's pretty epic, but they're like, let me in, the FNAF animatronics be like, let me in, to Markiplier, because they really want his autograph. And he's like, ah! And it's pretty scary. And yeah. But then freaking Bloom Boy freaking dies by Springtrap. Another sad scene where a lot of bad things happen. But then Markiplier threatens to freaking murder Freddy Fazbear. Like, there would not even be any hordes left if Markiplier freaking stabbed Freddy Fazbear with a knife. But I swear to God, this actually happened in the movie. Okay, he's like, OMG, who's that guy? And that guy's actually Mike. He's like, OMG, I'm actually Mike. And he's like, yeah, my house! And he's like, we actually need you to beat up Springtrap. Even though he's like, okay, Markiplier's like, you need me to beat up Springtrap! And they're like, yeah, we kind of need you to beat up Springtrap. But it's pretty epic. Freaking. And then all the FNAF animatronics give Markiplier a hug, but Markiplier's like, no! But then they drive away, and then the FNAF animatronics wake up, and it's like, OMG, who's actually the real Freddy Fazbear? It's pretty epic, and Markiplier doing some epic card tricks, because you already know how much Markiplier likes his cards. That's like the only thing I got from this scene, is that Markiplier actually likes to play with cards, guys. Top 10 cards Markiplier moment. But then they pull up at Freddy Fazbear, and they're like, OMG, I'm Markiplier, and OMG, I'm Mike, and Bloom Boy's dead! And they gotta find Springtrap. They're like, where's Springtrap? Be like, for real. And they're like, Freddy Fazbear. They're like, where's Springtrap at? And they look, but they look at the camera. They're basically trying to find Springtrap. They're like, OMG, I wish I was Springtrap. OMG. But then they look in, they're the thing, and they're looking in the cameras for Springtrap, but they don't even see Springtrap. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, they're basically looking all around for Springtrap, and they're like, I wonder where Springtrap is right now, I wonder, and Freddy Fazbear would be like, where Springtrap at, and Markiplier be like, where's Springtrap at, because he's actually planning to freaking murder Springtrap, like, brutally murder, guys. Markiplier is actually a sociopath, like, he should be locked up. But Freddy Fazbear sees a thing, and Bonnie sees a bunch of boxes. Pretty boring. Yawn, I'm about to fall asleep. But then he sees a box thing, like a square thing. And she could, like, probably see the square thing. We don't even know. But they're like, OMG. But she does see a square thing, but it's actually a fire hydrant. But then she wants from Springtrap. And, bro, then Springtrap gets hanged. Pretty sad. But the fire hydrant. But then Purple Guy freaking hits freaking Mike, and he's like, I'm actually purple guy, I'm actually purple guy, and I'm actually phone guy. And it cuts back to Markiplier and him making out, and they're like, I never actually loved you, man. It was actually fake. Freddy Fazbear would be like, I loved him though, and Markiplier would be like, I don't care. But he's like, get ready for the real Freddy. But they're like, who's the real Freddy? For real, because we're about to kill Springtrap for real. But then they hear this thing, and the phone guy's like, hello? And they're like, who's that? But then there's banging at the walls, and they don't even know who it is. But then it turns out to be freaking some guy in a freaking Freddy Fazbear costume. But then it turns out to be Matthew Lillard, aka Matt Pat, aka Scott Cawson, aka William Afton, aka Purple Guy, aka whatever else his name is, and he has a freaking chainsaw, and he murders Purple Guy, and the chainsaw's on fire, and he beats up Freddy Fazbear. He's like, Jay, I'm gonna beat you up because I'm actually Matt Pat, aka I'm actually Scott Cawson, aka I'm actually William Afton, and then but then Springtrap freaking makes out with him with the fire chainsaw, and the whole place goes on fire. And they're like, we need to escape the fire for real. But then Springtrap dies, and then they do a little bit more than make out, guys. But there's a huge fire, and freaking Matt Pat, aka Scott Cawson, aka William Afton, freaking dies in this fire. Also, everyone else who was already dead is also dead. And it's pretty sad. It made me cry because of all the friends we made along the way. But then they're like, turns out actually Matt Pat, aka William Afton, aka whoever else that guy is, he's actually alive because he actually calls Mike and he's like, I'm actually alive, man. And Mike is like, I don't care. And he hangs up. Like, it's the top 10 moments in cinematic history. And it leads for a sequel. I'm like the first one to say, guys, I'm actually super excited for a sequel. And it's pretty epic. And that was basically the FNAF movie. I also have an after credits of freaking Freddy Fazbear doing something. I don't know, I forgot. But that was basically the FNAF movie, guys. I would rate it 15 horror.